Today on English Bites, it's seagulls. Seagulls are a type of bird that live near the sea. In Australia, they've been a common part of the beach experience. Sea, sand, and seagulls trying to eat your chips. But today we hear about why seagulls are proving to be a pest, a problem not only for people at the beach, but for the environment as well. Let's find out all about seagulls.
Australia has only two endemic species of seagulls, the Pacific gull and the silver gull. But what they lack in variety, they more than make up for in noise. And the din they make grows louder every year, because gulls are the baby boomers of the bird world.
They've absolutely exploded. Since the Second World War, the numbers have gone up exponentially. They're just increasing fantastically.
Biologist Jeremy Robertson from Flinders University has been studying seabirds at Port Adelaide for almost a decade. Against the industrial backdrop are several islands that are home to major bird colonies. And although it's impossible to quantify how many, Dr. Robertson has seen the area increasingly dominated by silver gulls. Unlike parts of nature where the spread of human activity has endangered species, the silver gulls thrive because they live off the excesses of our lifestyle.
They're opportunists and they're taking advantage of human activities. Rubbish dumps, for example, fishing discards, aquaculture, that kind of thing. And just the Australian outdoor life, if you like, barbecues and things mean there's a lot of excess food around. And gulls really don't, in many cases, live in the wild anymore. They live around people, and that's why they're doing well.
A short flight from Port Adelaide is one of the city's largest dumps, and a perfect example of why silver gulls are often referred to as rats with wings. This scene is repeated around the world, making the spread of seagulls not only a problem for Australian cities and towns, but a global phenomenon. 20 years ago, Ian Tenby authored a report for a Victorian government inquiry into waste management that recommended ways of controlling seagull access to tips. Now he believes the message is even more urgent.
Now we have a figure for the costs to the community of having so many gulls around, and that I hope will provide the spur to get groups of interested people, and that's businesses, airports, municipalities that are affected by these gulls, to get together and lobby for change to the way we handle rubbish.
Back at Port Adelaide, Jeremy Robertson believes silver gulls have already driven away some terns and are threatening a breeding colony of cormorants.
The silver gulls, which you can see hanging in amongst the cormorants, will move in and take chicks whenever the nest's left, even for only a few seconds. So there's a very high mortality of chicks. We've seen 100 chicks taken in a few minutes. It's just extraordinary how quickly they go.
The best way to lower their number is to cut off the gulls' free lunch, something authorities at the Adelaide Airport have achieved by changing habitat and reducing food sources, resulting in a dramatic reduction in bird populations. But Dr. Robertson warns against any drastic action, fearing that we've tipped the balance of nature so far one way that anything other than a gradual reduction in food for gulls will see them destroy other species.
Let's say we effectively closed down dumps so gulls couldn't get at them, stopped all discards from fishing boats and could stop them getting food from aquaculture. You could actually have a massive environmental problem for a couple of years until it all sorted out, because they would have to find alternative food sources, and the most likely thing is they'd turn on other birds and things, and you could have a real environmental disaster.
Okay, so seagull numbers are growing very rapidly. There are thousands more seagulls every year, and that's becoming a problem. Why are there so many seagulls?
And just the Australian outdoor life, if you like, barbecues and things mean there's a lot of excess food around. And gulls really don't, in many cases, live in the wild anymore. They live around people, and that's why they're doing well.
He says it's the Australian outdoor life. Barbecues and things mean there's excess food around. If you have an excess of something, you have too much of it. So excess food means too much food. There's too much food being thrown away, and seagulls don't live in the wild or in nature anymore. They live around people and eat what people throw away.
They're opportunists and they're taking advantage of human activities. Rubbish dumps, for example, fishing discards, aquaculture, that kind of thing.
They're opportunists. An opportunist is someone who takes advantage of a situation. If people take advantage, they use all the good things they find in a situation. He means that seagulls make the most of any chance for food that they find. They take advantage of human activities, things that people do. Listen again.
They're opportunists and they're taking advantage of human activities. Rubbish dumps, for example, fishing discards, aquaculture, that kind of thing.
They take advantage of rubbish dumps, fishing discards, aquaculture. Rubbish dumps are places where people put their rubbish. Seagulls love them because they're full of food scraps. They eat fishing discards too. Discards are things thrown away, so fishing discards are the bits that are thrown away after you've been fishing, often the insides of fish. And aquaculture is sea farming, farming sea animals. Seagulls love to eat fish that are being farmed by people. So seagulls live off the things that people leave behind them. Apart from being a problem for people, why else is the increasing number of seagulls a problem?
Back at Port Adelaide, Jeremy Robertson believes silver gulls have already driven away some terns and are threatening a breeding colony of cormorants.
Silver gulls, a type of seagull, have already driven away some terns. Driven away means forced to go away, made to go away. The seagulls have forced away terns, another type of seabird, and they're threatening a breeding colony of cormorants. Cormorants are seabirds as well. They have a long neck and a pouch under their beak. They breed in rocks around the sea, but the seagulls come and eat the eggs and the baby cormorants.
So there's a very high mortality of chicks. We've seen 100 chicks taken in a few minutes. It's just extraordinary how quickly they go.
There's a very high mortality of chicks. Here the chicks are the baby cormorants. There's a high mortality of the babies. Mortality is the death rate, the number of deaths. This number is high. The seagulls can take 100 babies in a few minutes. So if people stop the seagulls from eating things people throw away from dumps and fishing, then they'll eat more of other birds' babies.
And the most likely thing is they'd turn on other birds and things, and you could have a real environmental disaster.
They will turn on other birds. Here, to turn on something means to attack it. They'll attack other birds, and there could be an environmental disaster. Other species of birds could be driven away, and there'd be only seagulls left. So let's hope that the government and scientists can do something about those seagulls.